Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, February 3rd. How the heck are you? Wonderful. How the heck are you, Mr. Beggins?
I couldn't be any better. I'm pumped. I'm ready, and we got so many great things happening, man.
That's right. Absolutely. I see Megan is online. Let's go ahead and get Megan in and out, and we'll get on with our agenda. Miss Megan, how the heck are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm good. Couldn't be better. Unless it was warmer, then I'd probably be a little bit better. Not too fond of this cold.
So what do you got
Well,
going on in the title world?
we are staying busy, which is good, but I wanted to remind everybody that we do have 2026 calendars and planners out in Apollo Beach. So if you guys want them delivered to you or you need one, please come see me. Let me know.
Kathy Mack also has them in the beaches. So if you have any over there, you can pick them up over there. We have some in all the other locations. We can get them to you. So just let us know if you need any of those, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll just do a drop off for you guys. And then wanted to touch on certified real quick. Just a reminder, certified, if you have a client who's closing with us, buyer or seller, they will get a request from certified. It is legit. It is us. It is a secured way for us to verify our clients and to send your clients money. Or if an agent wants their commission wired, that's how we're sending out wired commission. So if your clients get this text or email, it is real. Please have them complete it. It is required for our process. We have caught fraud with this. If a wire goes to the wrong place, certified insures it. So it's just an extra measure that we take to ensure your clients are protected. So it's really important. If you have any questions, let us know, but they are getting flyers on this, like in our introduction emails, to give them a little bit about it, but we know it's more to read and they don't really read it. So if you have any questions, just give us a call and let us know.
Good. Awesome. Thank you so much for that reminder. And you guys, I know you got a lot going on today, so we'll let you get off onto yours and we'll get onto our agenda today. Thank you very much, Megan.
You're very welcome. You guys have a great day, a good week.
You too. Jeff, let's jump in. I got a quote for us today that I think it's fitting for what's coming up. And the quote that I put out there: in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. And I think that's very apropos right now with what is on the horizon for us.
It, that's a great sentence right there. So that's what paralyzes people. To summarize that, it's impossible to screw up if you're in motion, right? That's the way that you get better, is to do the quote unquote wrong thing, is to called screw up, right? Like we always joke about it, is that everybody sucks at the beginning of absolutely everything. Right. I always joke with you guys here, we talk about with my son. I said, well, when he struggles with something when he hasn't done it before, I said, well, you really suck so bad at walking. Like literally, you fell on your face, you fell on your butt nonstop. It was embarrassing, right? You were terrible at it, but you kept going, you kept persisting, you learned how to balance, right? You learned how to take a different step and things went better. Same thing with this business, right? We all sucked. Every one of us sucked in our first listing presentation. We stumbled all over our words on our first expired listing call, and for sale by owner got hung up on, got the doors closed on us, right? It's just part of the deal, but you move and you learn and you adjust, and it's got to become a sport. It's got to become a game.
Yep. Let's all decide that we're going to do something rather than nothing over this next week, couple weeks, couple months, because it will make a huge difference to you. And the next section that we're going to talk about is that there's a surge coming. But I wanted to play something for Jeff really quick, because this is all for Mr. Beggins. Stop. Stop. So I know you guys are tired of hearing of the boom, but God, if there is not a surge coming, then you can take us all out to pasture, because it is on the horizon. It is here now. It is happening now. You've seen it happening. It's going to continue to happen. And we just want to talk to you about all the reasons, all the conversations you need to be having, all the things that you should be talking about, and all the reasons that you should decide to get out and do something rather than nothing.
You know, it's fun, Chris. We have escalation clauses back, right? We've got a situations. There is no market, right? Let's remind ourselves about this one. There is no market. There are a gazillion micro markets in the industry that we play with. So some micro markets are having a huge boom right now. Some haven't yet, right? It all depends on supply and demand and how many people are actually looking for that property. Because remember, guys, we got to break this down to simplicity. It takes only one other person to like the same house to create a bidding war, to create a problem, right? And there's so many people on the sidelines. And that's what Chris and I are talking about. The surge is coming. There's people that are saying, okay, I feel better because everything's consumer confidence, right? Everything's consumer confidence. If they feel comfortable that they'll be in as good or a better shape in the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to make moves, right? And if they don't, they're not going to make moves. If they qualify for this payment at this loan amount, at this interest rate, they know it's going to only get better from here. So smart money moves first, right? You hear me say that all the time, is get out there and just all the things that are coming on. You don't want to be the person that waits for 2 or 3 other people to like the same house. And so that's what we have going on right now.
Yeah, and these are some of the things that have been going on, and when we get alignment of a lot of these different factors, so most of us are used to only seeing like one thing happen, like hey, the Fed decided to lower rates, and that caused a few buyers to come out, and then the mortgage rates followed after that, or there's something with taxes that happened that pushed some people in, but there's a lot more going on than that. That's going to drastically impact the monetary policy, the interest rates, and what people decide to do moving forward. And if number one, if you haven't yet, and you're not following Jeff Beggins on social media on Facebook, please do, because he's got a ton of posts about all of this that goes into detail that you can take those and make talking points of it, make a video of it, or just share something simple like that. But that's what we want to get into today because that makes a huge change. So let's really just jump into what's the most recent thing that was just talked about. That
The
was
Fed chair.
right. What does that mean?
Let's understand what that means because that doesn't mean real estate, right? That it does not. But we're just fortunate to be in the trickle down bucket of what's going to happen there because the reality of what the president's trying to do right now is reduce the payments of the country, right? There's so much debt, ridiculous amounts of debt, and the debt payments are so big because the interest rates are high. So selfishly, what he's trying to do is drop those interest payments from the country. And the only way to do this is to drop the Fed rate, which is the rates banks charge each other overnight rates, right? So, but by default, the Treasury and the 10-year the follow, right? And so mortgage rates typically follow. Now they're trying to get rates down to 3%, right? That's the goal is to get the interest rates down to for housing too, and for what they're looking to do too. So that should create movement, right? So he said it's going to be, unfortunately, the current chair doesn't share that same idea and had the last meeting last week, he just kept rates the same, right? And that's not going to help the country and that's not going to help your payments, right? So he's put in a guy who's openly says, I'm going to get down to 3%, like quick, right? And then I can always change them back up if I need to, but we're going to drop and stimulate in a big way, which means a lot of things. Number one, it means the devaluation of currency, right? Your money is going to be worth less than it is today when interest rates go down and money gets printed, right? So smart people are saying, wait a second, I'm not going to sit on cash because it's going to devalue. I'm going to put it into hard fixed assets that are going to appreciate, such as cash flowing real estate or other real estate ideas, and fix your house up and do things like that because it's going to naturally rise in value, right? So that's what one of the big reasons that's going on here. And then from investor standpoint, where they're buying with DSCR financing loans, right? It all comes down to payments, which amounts what can they qualify for. So the interest rates on 4.5% are way different, and this many more people can buy a property when the interest rates are at 4.5% or 5% or 3% than they can at 6.5% and 7%. It's just a bigger buyer pool, which means a lot bigger surge coming into the market, right? So that's a lot more capital is going to come in here. Then you add on the cost segregation and the 100% bonus depreciation. I need to make sure you guys understand this, which is why I post a lot of these things out there so you can internalize that and rephrase it and push it out there and be there. But the bonus depreciation, 40% of the cost to build a structure can be depreciated in year one versus it's spread out over 27 and a half years. I know it sounds a little detailed, but it is. But I'm talking about people that have money and are looking for tax strategies to buy. And we happen to be, all of us right now are in just the state of Florida. And we happen to have a huge investor base in here. So that it's huge. So cap rates are going to compress, values are going to jump. Coastal assets feel it first. A lot of us are on the coast. Coastal properties always go up first. and they go down last, and they're always the most attractive investment. So that's going to be the importance of getting a new Fed chair in, because the monetary policy of the US is going to change, and it's going to not happen until May when the new one comes in. But people are starting to know that it's coming, and they're making moves right now.
If they know their dollar is going to be devalued or worth less when this Fed chair comes in May, what do you think they're going to do with their money now? Go buy properties now, because if they buy properties now, when the dollar becomes worth less and appreciation of properties go up because interest rates go down, more people go buy, values go up. That means that instead of their money value going down, their property values go up. So they increase their appreciation over time whenever they buy properties now rather than waiting. That's why smart money moves now. So one simple thing like a new Fed chair has so many trickle down effects that happen over the next 3, 6, 12, 24 months. And this is just one of the many things that's going on around us. The next one is about the 200 billion in buying back mortgage-backed securities. Like, what does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. $200 billion. So what? They're giving people money? No, they just Trump
No.
just. I want to make 200. I want Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy back $200 billion of mortgage-backed securities, which then makes more money available for banks to lend.
Yeah, simplify it real quick. You have Reed Bank, right? You go to Chris's bank and you say, "Hey, I want to borrow money for a home." He says, "No problem, dude. How much you want?" He goes, "I want $1 million." No problem. So he loans out $1 million. He has a capital reserve requirement, right? Because he's a federally accredited backed bank, right? Or credit union or lending institution. He has to keep a big chunk of that money locked up in case of default. He can cover that loss, right? So the banks have to have a huge capital reserve for every loan they have out on the marketplace, which means that when somebody else goes in and wants that money, more money, he says, "I'd love to loan more, but I just don't have it because the stuff I have to have locked up. So therefore I can't make you a loan. Or if I do, it's going to be a lot more expensive because I got to take some risk." Right? That's the reality of what's going on. So what this one does is say, wait a second, I've got we have billions. We have I think it's $600 billion is sitting in Fannie and Freddie right now. And he says, wait a second, this is stupid. Let's go take 200 billion of that and let's go buy back, right, all these mortgage-backed securities, and let's free it up. So we go to Chris Reed Bank and we say, "Hey, Chris, you got $50 million in mortgages out right now, and you have a $25 million reserve requirement sitting there that money's trapped. I'm going to buy those from you right now. Free it up. Now your other $25 million in reserves is unencumbered, right? Loan it out, go have fun." So he does that to $200 billion worth of mortgages, right? And now that money is freed up to be loaned out, and supply and demand is going to kick into place. And the greed of the banks is going to say, "Well, come get my money." No, come get my money. I'll give it for 6. I'll give it for 5.5. I'll give it for 5. It's not tied to the Fed now, right? It's now it's a capitalistic decision on what to do to be competitive to get money out there. So that's another way to he's trying to circumvent the Fed, right, to free up money to make money more available. And go back to the reasons why, because the whole point here, guys, is to start conversations and have people reach out to you and say, "I saw your post. Can we talk about that? What did that mean to me? Should I wait? Should I buy? What does that mean? What are rates going to happen? When do you think this is going to go?" I don't care what the conversation is, but you need to get the DM, you need to get the text, you need to get the email, you need to get the post, you need to get the comment, and that starts conversations. Because go back to the beginning, what do you want to have happen to you in your life between now and the end of March? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, or 10 deals, right? And that's all the conversations you need to start. So this is just ways to start conversations. Now you're going to get some critics and you're going to get some "that's bullshit," and that's great, right? Because all you need is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who cares how many deals you get and where they come from? But this is starting conversations that show that you kind of know what you're talking about in the real estate industry, and you have a position on it, which means that you have, I don't care if they agree with my position or not, right? This is my position and I'm all in on it. And I've got a lot of research behind it. And I feel very comfortable making my statements, right? Some people don't. I don't care, right? But I'm starting conversations and people are reaching back out. So that's what this is.
Yep. Next is the 401k down payment. This is something that's been proposed, nothing that's in place yet. But again, another thing that's being proposed to try to circumvent the interest rates, give buyers more affordability, make it more accessible for more buyers to buy something using cash that they already have that they can't touch. You have a 401k. Who here has a 401k online? right? And I'm sure a lot of you know how much is in there. It's a pretty significant amount. If you wanted to go buy a home with that, you'd have to take a loan out, which is going to create a debt, which means you can afford less home because now you took another debt out to buy that home to make a down payment. The only way you can do it otherwise potentially is if you used it as an investor, like if you took a 401k, converted to an IRA and use it as a self-directed. But if you're trying to buy a primary residence, this is a great opportunity that they're trying to make available to you to use your retirement funds to buy a home now. You convert part of that home equity back, and then you can convert part of your home equity back into your 401k asset. It's this circular accessibility to your 401k to create a better investment, to keep you in a home, to make it more affordable so you don't have to use cash, and then bring it back around to keep it as an investment at the same time by utilizing two different strategies that could benefit you.
This would be huge. Now, go back to the source, right? Why is all of this coming right now? Right? Because real estate is the biggest economic driver in the entire country. And the president, like him or not, right, his goal is to stimulate the economy. So it's flying. So he has people feeling good when it comes to the midterm elections because he wants to keep power, right? Let's just always follow the money and follow the reasons why. I don't care the reasons why, but I have to understand the reasons why. And so do you, right? So every home sold is a $75,000 direct infusion into the local economy. Real estate guys, mortgage guys, title people, landscapers, Home Depot stock, right? The painters, the delivery guys, everything. It's $75,000 quantable in every home sale. So if they can stimulate 1 million more home sales or 2 or 3 million more home sales, that's real money into the pockets of the citizens to make them wealthier, right? So that's the thought behind all of these strategies. And if one of them comes through, great. If two of them come through, unbelievable. If 3 or 4 of these come through, hang on, right? Because it's just going to unleash on this one. So that's that one.
What about 100% bonus depreciation?
But this is for the investor side of the world, right? This is for second homes or just investment properties. So the key there is very simple. So Chris goes and buys a $1 million piece of property, right? And it is a nice home. And a guy does a cost segregation on it, cost segregation study, which is basically how much did it cost to build that structure, right? And they go through and they say, okay, of this $1 million property, $700,000 of it is sticks and bricks and cabinet pulls and mirrors and glass and nails and wood, right? And that's what the analysis comes back to is $700,000 worth of structure, right? So the math is a little bit, but it averages out to be about 40% of that. So 40% of $700,000 is what? 280 grand, right? This is important. So depending on what Chris is, here's how he takes that taxable advantage right now. So if he's what's considered an active investor, which means an active real estate investor, means he spends a big chunk of his time managing his real estate assets. He gets to take that $280,000 off of his taxable income from anything. If he's a doctor and he spends a ton of his time managing his properties and his accountant classified him, that's the category, his accountant has to classify them as an active participant, right? He can take that $280,000, and if he makes $500,000 a year, now he takes to deduct 280 off that $500,000 a year. Now his taxable income is reduced by that 280. Is that big?
That's huge.
That's
It
huge.
used to be 80%, and they've brought it back to 100%. So that increases the taxable deductions for these investors. So
Year
again,
one, this year, right
yep,
now.
you're
Now,
stimulating the economy by stimulating homeowners. You're stimulating the economy by stimulating investors. You're stimulating the banks. You're stimulating every single side of the economy.
now the other side, which is important, if Chris does not spend a lot of time, and this is only his first or second investment property, then what he's going to do is be considered a passive investor, and that $280,000 tax saving is only going to be saved on the income that comes from that property. But if he buys a cash flow and asset, if he buys one of our townhomes or beach makers or something, he's going to bring in that money. He's not going to pay any taxes on that first $280,000 that comes in, right? So that's the advantage of bonus depreciation, which is not going to be here forever, guys. These are all stimulants, right? These are all things to get people off their asses to get into the marketplace, and they will not be here forever. They will be repealed and they will be taken out, and all of these incentives are going to be taken out. So this is the time, guys, to be out there to be talking about it. So people are saying, well, wait a second, tell me more. Should I really move right now? And the answer is depends. Talk about your situation. Does it make sense or does it not? Client sold his company, huge income, bought a money in the St. Regis Longboat Key as an investment. There you go, Jesse, just speaking the exact reality of that. They wrote off $1.5 million on his income. So he bought a condo and he was able to write off $1.5 million. Right? That's smart money. That's what we say. Smart money moves fast. You've got people making big moves, guys. And this is very important to you guys know this. This is international, right? So a guy flies in from Germany or Venezuela or Colombia, which we have all of them right now, buying beach properties right now. They're all in town and they say, wait a second, so I can buy this and then all my income, I get to cost seg it out as well as an international investor? Yes, right? So that's why you're seeing money from these unstable. Europe, guys, is in big trouble. There's money flying out of there because it's got issues, right? Whole different topic, right? And then Venezuela, you think there's issues down there in that region, and Colombia and South America, and there's so much money looking for where to go. It used to go to Miami. It's not going to Miami as much anymore. It still does because it's still Miami, but it's coming up here because we actually have money, right? We actually have investment properties that actually still cash flow that actually make a lot of sense. Now, I bet that St. Regis condo probably doesn't cash flow, but it's an ego purchase that is absolutely beautiful in the St. Regis in Longboat Key, and the guy wanted it, right? And he got a $1.5 million deduction to make it work. So Jesse is smart, knows how to explain this to people. Now you guys do too. And he posts about it and he talks about it so people will reach out and see him. So I'm excited, man, as you can't tell. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, this is just what this slide says. This is what happens. This is how markets start to ignite. You start stimulating every side of the economy inside real estate. You stimulate the buyers to buy, the sellers to sell, the investors to buy, the investors to accumulate more assets. The demand starts to surge, the supply tightens, prices start to move fast, hesitation gets punished. You do not want to be feeling like a buyer who decided to wait until the end of 2022 to buy a house. That's what your situation you're going to be in if you don't decide to get moving on your business right now and start talking to more people about real estate, about purchases, about investments, about just what's going on, because this isn't for everybody. But if you're not talking about it, everybody won't have the opportunity to know what they're missing out on. And that's your job, to have more of these conversations. And when you have more of these conversations, you end up with more opportunities. More opportunities lead to more contracts to more closings to more commissions to more past clients, which makes your business even stronger.
And third-party stories are the most powerful. So now you're saying one of my colleagues, Jesse, right, who works down in our Longboat Key marketplace, just sold a condo and the guy was able to write off $1.5 million off his income this year, of the 2025 income because he closed last year. Those are stories that you tell that say, what? What do you mean? Yes, and here's how. Right. And these are the ways to stimulate and get that going. Now, that's the investor market. Now, one thing I want to talk about too is I mentioned earlier before acceleration clauses and stuff for back. I was talking with Stephanie Berry about it. She's working with a customer and they've been kind of looking for months, right? And they now are seeing all these posts and like saying we need to make a move, but they're putting in offers against the agent's wishes saying, hey, look, this is $1.05 million. It's worth it. The way they price it, here are the comps, come in full price. No, I'm not coming. I'm coming at 875. Don't do it. You're going to lose it. Boom, lost it. Second house, lost it. Now they're pissed, right? But they didn't listen because the market's changed, guys. And they have to do acceleration. The one they just lost was $1 million, $1.05 million for a nice house. The competing buyer went same price, but with an escalation clause up to $1.2 million, right? There you go. That's just a perfect example of what's happening in some micro markets. So we have to make sure that we're on point with our buyer presentation to make sure they're ready to go. Make sure your lender has approved them. Make sure that they've gone through as best underwriting as they can. So there's no question when they can get financed. That's for your investor buyers or your regular buyers. You got to up the game, guys, because the market has switched, right? It is absolutely has switched and it's going to keep catching more fire. So we got to be way sharper on this.
Yeah, and an escalation clause puts you in the best position. When you go through and do a presentation for your buyer and pre-qualify your buyer, and you let them know that you find out that this buyer is someone who likes to make offers lower, you let them know that this market where you're going to be purchasing might not be a market that would benefit you by doing that, but I've got the best way to protect you on all aspects of it. I can use an escalation clause, which allows you to make your offer where you would like to make it on that lower end of it, but we put a cap at where you want to be, and I'll let you know where I feel that should be to make sure that you get the best opportunity to get it. So you basically cut out all of the back and forth negotiations by going in at the number that you want with an escalation clause, putting it all on one piece of paper and getting your answer immediately, especially if you're competing. It's a great opportunity, and you can set that tone right from the beginning. And when people are buying in Florida, they're buying with confidence. Why? Because the Florida economic growth has outpaced the nation by an average of 2.3 percentage points over the past 4 years. That's just Florida economic growth. The Florida economy has been outpacing the nation. The unemployment rate remains below the national rate since September of 2020. So our unemployment in Florida has been lower than the nation has been for the last 6 years. Florida data shows sustained outperformance of national trends, resilient labor markets, and 2026 expects more of the same. So what does that mean for you? Go ahead.
No, I said, and now add in the other things that you have I always call millionaire migration, right? You've got people that are coming here that weren't expecting to come here because political climates are changing in certain states right now. You've got people that are leaving California right now because of the billionaire/millionaire tax that they're going to pay an extra 5-6% state sales tax, and same thing in New York, right? These are just real events, guys, that people are, well, I'm hearing them come here right now. I was talking with a hedge fund manager yesterday, right, who wants to reallocate himself down here and also move a lot of money down here. So this is real. And we need to start talking about it, guys, and getting people to talk about what's going on. Because here's the interesting thing. You can also go on to ChatGPT or Google, and you can find stories that are saying, well, the market's going to crash, right? Foreclosures at an all-time high. The real estate market's going to hell. We're walking into a depression. You can find supporting documents for anything, which is very interesting. And so we have to be aware of these other perceptions, right? But we have to have facts to back up our positions, which is what we're putting out there to you right now, because everything's supply and demand. There is no market. Are there sub-micro markets that have issues? 100% there are, right? There always will be, and there always are. Are there micro markets that are very unique and special? Right? Your longboat key, you don't create another longboat key. It's absolutely spectacular and amazing, and people are willing to pay a shitload of money to live there because of the special uniqueness of it, right? There's some markets that look like shit, right? That are slummed down, run down, and you've got hurricane issues. You got all kinds of stuff, little pockets of micro foreclosures because interior lots aren't worth, there's all kinds of things. But we have to back up our positions and own them and tell people about them and making the push to start conversations about real estate.
Yep. They say the spring rush, the second rush. Why would you say the second rush? Because we created a boom at the end of last year in that fourth quarter with Fed rates dropping, with us going and having more conversations, and us doing 15% more than our second quarter or our third quarter, which are typically our busiest quarters. Our fourth quarter was 15% higher than our second or third quarter. So we created a rush in our micro markets here inside of Beggins Enterprises, and we're going to continue to do the same thing because this spring rush is going to be massive. Rates are going to continue to drop. With Warsh taking over, that's an absolute possibility. Buyers who've been waiting will finally pull the trigger. They're already pulling the trigger right now. We're already seeing pending sales up double digits compared to what it was at the end of last year. Just in the first 3 weeks of the first of January in this year, pending sales are up. Mortgage applications in a 1 week period were up 18% after the first of the year. So we're already seeing a lot of buyers deciding that they are tired of waiting. They've been tired of waiting. They've been slowly coming off the fences. And with all of these things put together, they're going to continue to come off the fences. They need properties to buy. Inventory is half of what the normal market looks like. 48,000 new listings this last week when the normal market has 80 to 100,000. So our inventory is low. I don't care what anybody says, our inventory is low. Why do you think 80% of the builders nationwide have said that they are all increasing production this year in 2026? Because they realize we have a shortage of 1.5 million new construction homes every single year. We are short 1.5 million compared to what they need to be putting in the ground. So they know I need to put more inventory in the ground because not enough inventory is coming on market. We had more delistings last year than we've ever seen before, 5% more than they've ever seen before, which means you need to go out and talk to the expired listings, get those listings back on market, go talk to more of the buyers, let everybody know what is happening all around us. There is going to be a nice big migration of buyers and sellers coming in this spring. How many of them are you going to have an opportunity for? We need to have more conversations. The saying is, you can't sell what you don't have on the market. And you can't sell a buyer something that's not on the market. So you either need to go find more to put it on the market, or find your buyers and go find off-market opportunities for those buyers to generate and create more opportunities if you're not finding it there. This next market is going to be a boom, and you need to be prepared. And the time to start is right now. It wasn't 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right now. If we start doing it now, the spring selling season will be your best opportunity. It'll continue on into summer as well.
And this is the time to open up your calendar, look at some openings, and set up an appointment with yourself to get your butt into Beggins University and go through the listing process and go through the buyer process and go through the 7Ps and making sure your preview presentation is spot on. Your pre-qualification script is spot on. Your listing presentation is spot on. Make sure your Moxie website's looking good. Make sure you know how to do the CMAs the right way. If not, everything's in there to teach you. But you've got to be on point, guys, because you're going to have one shot. And don't you think with all these headlines, you're going to have a ton more people coming back into the industry, and it's very difficult to compete with Cousin Susie. Right, and we haven't had Cousin Susie playing in the pond in a couple of years, right, Chris? Because it hasn't been an easy industry, but it's about to get easy again, quote unquote easy, and more people are going to flood into this industry, and they're going to have spheres of influences, and they have EBBAs right now, so the market's going to adjust. So those of you with inventory are going to win. So you have to sharpen up your listing presentation, make sure that you're on point. No one's going to touch us, guys. When you follow the process the right way, no one's going to outtouch us, right? As a company, as a brand, as a location, you as a person, as Century 21 as a brand, as Compass as our parent company. What are we, 45% of every real estate transaction in the North America is handled by us right now. I mean, no one's going to touch it. You've got everything setting. You just have to show up with confidence and make sure your communication skills are on point. So people like you, they trust you, they care about you, they know that you're mirror and matching right. You do VAK, you know the personality styles, and you're just going to squeak on in.
Awesome. Jimmy, you got some stuff to add, right? What you got for us?
Just real quick. Skip the next 4 slides. I added some stuff for the top 21. We can do that next week. Just go to the Zillow stuff. I just want to make sure that last page. So as of today, the process and update for Zillow Showcase is completely changed. The new price now is $150. Okay, $150 per listing. And let me just break this down a little bit for you. If you were to go to Zillow right now and say, hey Zillow, I want to do Zillow Showcase, they're going to be like, cool, it's $300 a listing, but you got to sign a contract for at least one listing for the next 6 months. So you're spending $1,800 no matter what, if you get those listings or not, if you go directly to Zillow. Okay. For us, it's $150. Doesn't matter how many you do. It's $150 per listing for Zillow Showcase. Okay. Also, you're going to notice that in some markets, they don't allow Zillow Showcase right now. Specifically in Florida, if you go towards the Panhandle, you go to Jacksonville and things like that, they have like 10% of their listings that are on Zillow Showcase. Okay. We're only at like 3 or 4 in the majority of our areas. What that means is up there in the Panhandle in Jacksonville, new agents cannot go to Zillow and get a showcase because they're already at the max percentage that they want of those listings on Showcase. But guess what? For our agents up there, we have a contract. So it doesn't matter if they're at 10%, you still have that capability of adding a token to stay competitive with your market. So $150 starting actually yesterday. Process is completely changing. No longer are you going to check something on the deal sheet. No longer are you going to send it to the back and wait for somebody in the back office to go in and load it and send you an email the next day and let you know. No offense to the back office. It's not about that. Okay. But it takes some time. Now what you're going to do, and you're going to get an email today that has a video. It also has this little PDF that is up there that's going to walk you through how to set up your showcase going forward. You're going to go to app.showingtimeplus.com and you're going to say, I want to add my listing. You're going to add it. You're going to go pay $150 right then and there to get it taken care of. You're going to choose your photographer and you're done. That's it. You're not going to have to wait anymore to get in and start a showcase. You're able to go do it all yourself. Okay, so no longer, if you go to the deal sheet today, you will notice that it says, hey, please go to this website. So that's the changes. You will get an email today. If you go to begginsuniversity.com right now and go to Zillow Showcase and try to purchase your token, it's going to say, no, you can't. Follow these instructions that you have right here with the video and that. And just to show off one, this is Devin. This is her listing there. I can't even read it from this far. I apologize. But we have 146% more page views, 110% more saves, and 75% more shares. And the last thing I just want to say about Zillow Showcase, because we've been using it for a while, and a lot of agents are like, I don't like it. I'm not going to use it. Well, just so you know, for our brokerage, the listing agents, if you've taken a listing, the agents that actually use Zillow Showcase make twice as much as those that do not add Zillow Showcase onto it. They actually have a higher commission rate versus those that do not use Zillow Showcase. And I will tell you, our top 10 users of Zillow Showcase averaged almost $300,000 in gross commission last year. Just throwing it out there. There's some numbers for you. Couple other quick things for you. I think, well, you can pass this one. I'll talk about that one next week. But on Beggins University, all I'm going to talk about today is the training hub. I think this ties directly into what Jeff and Chris were kind of talking about. When we get to Beggins University, yes, we have all those great AI tools, but don't forget about all the training that is available for you in there. Everything from buyer broker agreement training, buyer process training, if you need to get better on that, seller process, Moxie work, script training. You need to understand personality profiles and how people connect. We got the training there for you. There's even an AI optimization training that you can get into, a negotiation mastery. So the tools are there. And by the way, if you ever miss a meeting, that's where you can go back that same day and you'll be able to see where that training is so you can jump into it. So the tools are there and the processes are there. Are you? That's really what comes down to. You can bypass all this stuff. We don't have to talk really about any of that. That was all last week.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. So what are you guys going to do today? What decision are you going to make today that's different from yesterday, this last week, this last month, this last quarter, that's going to set you apart from everybody else? What is going to create more opportunities? What is going to create more awareness? What is going to create more conversations? Because this business is about people and communications. They need to know who you are. They need to know that they can trust you in this business. And you get that by having more conversations, controlling more of the narrative, putting out more content, and just having a little bit more knowledge than the next person. You don't need to be talking like we're talking, like there's this boom coming. You don't need to be talking like that, but they are seeing headlines and you should know what they are and you should be controlling part of that narrative so it doesn't all go to the negative side, because that's where a lot of people are leaning. Why? Because that's what they see. And if they see more of you, more of Jeff, more of us, they start to see us in a different light. They start to see you in a different light. And awareness gives you more opportunities. Jeff, anything to add before we close out and move on to our individual meetings?
Yeah, no, just last thought, guys, is it's never been easier with so much wind blowing in our sails, right? All you have to do is remain clear about what you're doing this for, guys. Just get emotionally charged and attached to what's going to happen to you to fund that big ass smile lifestyle that you deserve and then why you're here. So get clear on those three things, visualize your goals, repeat them and just focus on them and make contacts. That's all you have to do. Or just post. Posting will create comments, which will create contacts, and that creates conversation. It's so easy, guys. Don't let it get more complicated than it is. Just go out there, post information, and have contacts, and you got it.
Yep. Just follow Jeff, take some of the content he's posted, share it. If you don't want to do it on your own, share his posts. But we need more awareness, more conversations. Conversations lead to contracts. Contracts lead to closings. Closings lead to commissions. Commissions leads to big ass smile goals. So let's all get out there and make a difference in our own lives. Happy Tuesday, February 3rd. Sign off into your individual office meetings.